I get it when you're scrolling through a sea of cheap air hockey tables that look like they were built for a backyard garage sale. You end up wondering if you're about to waste both space and money. I've spent a few evenings watching my nephew and his friends battle it out on a budget price model that barely held a steady airflow, and the frustration was real. Pucks stalled, the scoring lights flickered, and the whole thing felt more like a prop than a game. That's why I wanted to see if stepping up to a proper, full-size unit could actually feel like a smarter buy instead of just another disappointment. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The Barrington Camden 90-inch air hockey table lands right in the middle of that decision point. At first glance, you notice the LED scoreboard that flashes each time a goal is scored, and the UV-coated surface that promises a slick, low-friction glide for the puck. It's not just a piece of furniture. It's an invitation to turn the living room into a mini arcade. But the real question is whether those glossy promises translate into everyday play without turning your home into a maintenance nightmare. Let's start with the airflow. Air hockey tables are essentially a network of tiny holes that push air up through the playing surface, keeping the puck floating. In the cheaper models I've tried, the air was inconsistent, leading to dead zones where the puck would suddenly drop and the game would stall. The Camden's design claims a consistent airflow across the entire 90-inch surface, and after setting it up for a couple of weekend game nights, the puck stayed airborne from end to end. That steady lift meant we could play fast, back-and-forth rallies without the occasional stuck-in-the-center moments that kill the momentum in a casual match. The LED scorer is another area where the table tries to feel arcade-ready. Each side lights up with a clear red digit, and a simple push button lets you reset the score between games. The sound effects that accompany each goal, think classic ding, and a brief whoosh, add a playful vibe without being obnoxiously loud. I've had families with kids ranging from 8 to 16, and the sound level stayed at a comfortable background level even when the room was otherwise quiet. That's a subtle win because it keeps the table from feeling like a disruptive gadget, especially if you're playing in an apartment building where thin walls can turn a simple game into a neighbor complaint scenario. Durability is always a hidden trade-off you discover after the first few months. The Camden's frame is built from a steel chassis that feels solid enough to survive a few enthusiastic slams from teenage elbows. The UV coating on the playing surface resists scratches from the plastic pucks and the occasional stray coffee cup that might get knocked over in the heat of competition. In the few weeks I've had it, I haven't needed to wipe down any stubborn residue, and the surface still feels as smooth as the day it arrived. That kind of low-maintenance surface matters when you're the one who has to clean up after a rowdy game night. Now, let's talk about the practical downsides, because no product is perfect. First, the table's footprint is substantial. A full-size 90-inch model needs a room that can accommodate at least a 10 by 12-foot playing area to let the paddles swing freely. If you're living in a studio or a cramped condo, you might end up with a piece of furniture that dominates the space and leaves little room for other activities. Second, the assembly, while not a professional-level challenge, does take a couple of hours and a set of basic tools. The instruction manual is clear, but you'll need a couple of extra hands to hold the frame while you bolt the legs and attach the side rails. If you're hoping for a plug-and-play experience, be prepared for a modest workout. Who should consider buying the Barrington Camden? If you have a dedicated game room, a basement rec space, or even a large family room where you can lay out a 90-inch rectangle without stepping on the sides, this table fits the bill. It also makes sense for parents who want a durable, low-maintenance activity that can keep kids entertained for hours without the need for batteries or screen time. The LED scoreboard and sound effects provide a touch of excitement that can turn a simple family game into a mini tournament, which is great for birthday parties or casual get-togethers. Moreover, the consistent airflow and sturdy frame justify the price tag for anyone who's tried a cheaper model and is fed up with pucks that drop dead in the middle of a rally. On the flip side, if you're looking for a tabletop version that can be stored away after a quick game, or if you're limited to a small apartment where every square foot matters, you'll likely be better off with a compact, fold-up version even if that means compromising on airflow and scoring features. Also, if you're an occasional player who only expects to fire a few pucks,